What's going on, everybody? It's Levi here, bringing you another video. As the title suggests, my 3-month review on ATS lease program. Now, I've been at this for about 4.5 months now, and overall, if I had to give it a score out of 10, I'm gonna give it we'll go a low 8 on 10, only because this last week I was able to take damn near 2 34-hour restarts in between loads. Well, not in between loads, but one was 300 miles away and it delivered 2 days later, and it didn't deliver early. So that's why, and that's about the only reason really why. But all right, now into my actual review. There's a couple bulletin points I have here I want to touch on. This should be a short, quick, easy video, not too long. First off, the most important thing is, what is the pay like? Now, I'm not going to get into specific details, but the pay is percentage. We do get 65% of the line haul that goes to the truck. And, you know, as you guys know, percentage, that can vary based on what the load pays. I am going to do a more detailed video about pay on this lease program. That way, because I still want to get some of my stuff together. That way I'm not causing any confusion between me relating the info to you guys. So, like I said, the only thing I'll say for now is we get paid 65% of the line haul, which it's about average, maybe a little less than a lot of them, but I mean, starting out, it's not too bad. So far, I'm not complaining. I mean, obviously, I could want more, but, you know, hey. And number 2, now these aren't in order, because honestly, this one would be above pay for me, but it's also got to make sense. You know, I am not out here to work free, or to not make enough to justify being out longer than what I am. So, point number 2 is home time. Now, with the lease program, you know, if you're going into a lease, a lot of people are like, well, if I go lease, I can decide when I want to go home. But on the flip side of that, you kind of have to stay out to make any sort of money. Now, I probably could go home every weekend, but I wouldn't make near as much money as I do now. For me, I go home every other weekend, so I'm out 2 weeks, and I'm back home for the weekend. I don't mind it. You know, coming from Hogan, where I was home every weekend, to going out every other weekend, it is an adjustment, but it's not that bad of an adjustment. It's not like I was home every night and then now I'm gone for a month and a half, or whatever the case may be. You know, I'm home every other weekend. I've adjusted, my wife adjusted, and my boy, well, he doesn't know the difference. So he's always happy to see me regardless when I get home. But just to touch on the topic of, you know, coming lease to, you know, quote unquote, get home whenever you want. You know, I'm gonna go ahead and say that's not really a thing, to go home when you want. You know, the people that do the lease programs know, you know, they kind of have an idea how much you're going to need to run in order to make any money, and for you not to quit. And so when I finished with orientation and talked to my DM, you know, he's like, yeah, he's like, you know, I told him, I was like, hey, I want to get home as often as I can. And he's like, well, I suggest every other weekend. He's like, if you try to go home every week, he's like, you're just not going to make as much money. So I took his advice. He's been doing this for 17 years. And so far it's been working out. It's not a bad gig. So for those coming in thinking they're going to get home every weekend, every other day, I guess depending on where you live, it might be a different story. Like if I lived in Indiana or Illinois, it'd probably be a different story. Because once I leave Ohio, usually I don't see Ohio again until I go home. So, all right, next bulletin point. Unlock my phone. Equipment. Now, with Hogan, you know, I don't have much to go off on, because Hogan, I had a 2015, I'm sorry. My first truck was 2014. It was a 2014 Freightliner Cascadia. It wasn't a bad truck. It was old. It was, you know, well, it had been 5 years old at that time I was driving it, but now it's 6 years old. And then one before that was 2014, I think. International was a year older. And yeah, they had older equipment. Very, very rarely had newer equipment in there. So coming from that to a 2018 Freightliner, one, a huge change, especially in fuel economy. Like right now, my truck, what is my truck getting? Hang on 1 second. We're gonna see what I'm over 8 miles to the gallon. 8.6 miles to the gallon as of right now. And the load I have on is probably about, I think it's only like 20,000 pounds. It ain't very heavy. Which that matters to me now because I'm paying for the fuel. And with Hogan, I held that thing on the floor the entire time. Now both trucks are governor and 65. So that wasn't a change for me. That didn't bother me too much. Now some of you guys that are coming from unlocked trucks that you can do 70, 75, 80, or however fast the thing will go, coming down to a truck that's governed to 65, you're probably going to have your issues at first for not going to be able to go fast enough. But if you're a mega carrier to this company, most likely the company you're coming from has trucks governed at 65, 67. So coming here is not going to be that big of a change for speed for you guys. Now for equipment, they when I went through orientation, this is the oldest truck I can get, 2018, because I'm only doing a 1-year lease on this truck, and then after I'm finished, they will, I'm guessing, sell the truck or I buy it, or whatever my options are afterwards. The reason why is because the warranty on this runs out at the end of the year once his lease runs out, because they want you to have a warranty while you're leasing the truck for all the drivetrain, because they don't want to make you responsible for replacing a motor or a transmission or a drive axle or whatever in the drivetrain can go wrong. They don't want you replacing it because, one, those parts are expensive. For equipment wise, it's a hell of a lot better than what I'm used to. I mean, these Freightliners, I like these Freightliners, but then again, it's really all I've ran, really, so kind of have nothing to compare it to. I've never driven a Peterbilt or a Kenworth, or I drove that International, which wasn't too bad. But alright, now my final point, unless I think of something else, are the lanes I run. Now they have an over-the-road fleet, and then they have a Midwest fleet. So Midwest I've been all the way to Virginia, down by Norfolk, Virginia. I've been to South Dakota, Nebraska, all the way down to Arkansas. Actually, that was this week. I was South Dakota down to Arkansas, and then back up here to Indiana. And then I've been to Virginia a couple weeks ago. So it says Midwest, but you kind of go wherever they need you. Now, I don't really leave the Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota area very often, but I do venture out to, like I said last week, I went out to South Dakota, dropped off, picked up a load in Nebraska, came down to Arkansas. So every once in a while they'll let me stretch out my legs and get some miles under me. But mostly, the Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, a lot of Chicago area stuff is what I run. Wisconsin, and then I haven't been in Minnesota too often since I started. Quite a bit of Michigan as well, but generally it's Midwest. So they don't they sent me to Atlanta once, never doing that again. What else? Oh, and the equipment you have to buy. I went over this a little bit in my orientation video, but for me, I only have to buy straps, and I think they were like $20. No, not even $20. I think they're like $10 a piece. I can't remember. And even with dry van, secure your loads. Now if I was over the road, you'd have blankets, straps, dollies. You had some other things, load bars, things like that you have to pay for, which would be a little costly. But it just comes out of your check, so not that big of a deal. But yeah, so far I am enjoying ATS. They, have meant what they said and said what they meant. So they haven't lied to me yet. They've kept their word on everything. Another thing, this week, I got detention pay from a load from last week that I didn't even request. But they saw my bills where I checked in and checked out, and I got orientation. I got detention pay for 2 hours, so it was an extra $180. I wasn't expecting, but I got it. So, and also communication's key with my DM. If something happens, if I'm sitting there over 2 hours, I call him, or I message him on the Qualcomm. He responds a lot faster with that, and we work it out. So far, yeah, 8 out of 10. Now that I've talked about them more, I think the scores went up just a little bit. But, if you're interested in ATS, definitely watch this video and my last video on orientation. I will soon be putting out a video on pay. I'll be getting into the nitty-gritty details of that, and kind of discussing what I make so far and things like that. So once again, guys, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and be on the lookout for new videos. Thank you.